Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a James with no regard for human life. 12 seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What up, what up? My name is Nick Engvall, and this is the Sneaker History Podcast. For me, sneakers has never really been about the shoes. It's been about the people. Sneakers have been the connection to friends, business partners, unforgettable stories and memories, and opportunities that I could have never imagined. My goal has always been to create something that opens doors for others to find ways to do something they're passionate about for a living. If you're already a member of the Sneaker History Discord, you know how great the community we have is. It's so much more than sneakers. When someone needs some help getting through a tough time, the community is there. When someone in the community drops a new product line or publishes their first YouTube video, everyone is quick to support. That's why this year we'll be launching a series of new podcasts directly from the community. The first is a Formula One focused podcast hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates, where we hope to make becoming an F1 fan a little easier and give you a better understanding of the sport, whether you're just starting to watch or a longtime fan. You can check it out at exhaustnotes.fm or linked in the description for this episode. As always, thank you for supporting Sneaker History, and don't forget to tell someone you like their kicks today. What up, what up? Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast. My name is Nick Engvall with my guy, Robbie Falke, to talk some sneakers, talk about some crazy PEs we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, few weeks, whatever it's been. But yeah, man, what's good? How you doing?
You may now refer to me as Drip Flintstone, because that's what I've been feeling like in this jacket. I'm good, though. I went to the Nike employee store, and this is like the third or fourth time I've gone in there and not bought one pair of shoes for myself.
Nice.
Not one pair. And I'm very happy about that. Stuff for other people, but mostly stuff to accompany all the millions of shoes I'm sure many of our listeners have. So maybe you don't need to buy a pair of shoes this week. Maybe go buy a top. Maybe go buy nothing. Who knows? But I'm good. I'm really good.
Good.
Excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too, man. So what have you been rocking? What are you looking at copping lately?
So with this loud ass jacket, I had to hit it with some loud ass shoes. We have the Street Hawker Nike SB, based off of, I think it's 14 different Chinese traditional street foods. At one point, I knew all the different foods on here. I don't remember them anymore. When I first got them, I Googled the hell out of it. I do remember one of them is like a donut. One of them is a dish where they have a soup that they purposely like soak naan in, Middle Eastern naan in. It's good stuff. But I'm a sucker for two-tone shoes. They're just crazy enough. Very happy with those. And when it comes to copping, man, I'm still looking for those Beyond Retro Converse Chuck 70s. In Portland, you see so many Chuck 70s in these streets. You see a lot of Ons, a lot of Beat Air Force Ones, a lot of Heat, but also a lot of Chuck 70s. So anything with like a little twist of materials look good to me. These happen to drop 224, so maybe by the time this episode airs, they'll hit the streets on Converse.com, but Beyond Retro's drop looks really good. How about yourself? What have you been rocking? What are you looking to get?
Rocking. I've been wearing a lot of Jordan Retro stuff lately. But Shatter backboards.
Ooh.
I mean, you could tell they're pretty just beat up and dirty. I got like the full on like stained up midsoles, stuff stuck to the bottom. Wore Black Cement Jordan 3s yesterday. So just kind of, the standard operating stuff for me. But as far as like what I'm looking to cop, I mean, there's been some nice stuff that I've seen. I think maybe I've just been like, I feel like I should have bought a pair of half cabs already this year because it's the 30th anniversary. And I keep going back to the Van site thinking like, should I wait for these to go on sale, or will they go on sale? Can I find them at the outlets, But Vans, I never find my size. So I'll probably just see if I can hold out until I can grab a pair on sale. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be dozens more colorways, but the ones that I've looked at so far, there's like the kind of khaki color. There's like a navy color and a black color, all just kind of basic, colorways. But with the, it's just a half cab. It's good. I feel like it's like Dunks, like you get a plain colorway on a Dunk and it's like, yeah, of course I can wear that.
What's funny about the half cab is I think it's one of those rare shoes in 2022 that is still found anywhere. You can find a half cab at Journeys right now. You can find a half cab at Nordstrom's Rack with the lid cut off. You can find a half cab at the Vans outlet, Vans.com, in the most pristine, high-end half cab solution. For those that don't know, I believe that the Era is just the Skate 8 is just a low half cab, right? One of the other really illustrious Van models is just a low top half cab, and I want to say it's the Old School. I could be wrong though.
The Old School has the stripe, so it's a little bit different, but like there's a few pretty close. Like a lot of the Vans have a very similar aesthetic, just like a different.
They're all Vans, right?
Yeah. So the other thing, like kind of totally unrelated. I don't know if you saw if you've seen the LeBron 19 low yet.
I have. That shoe is. What do you think before I say something?
I think that shoe looks amazing. Like,
wow.
I feel like I'd rather see a low version of all this. And maybe it's just because I'm not trying to, I'm not a, 6'10" or 6'8", 270 pound monster running up and down the court. But I just kind of always end up leaning or, liking the lows better with a LeBron line, it seems like. And, I haven't seen anything other than the just like the kind of like red, white, and black colorway, but I like the split front, the toe being white, and I could definitely see some good colorways coming on that.
He just wore a pair during All-Star, I believe it was like practice this past weekend, and I'm happy that you said that you liked it because I'm on the completely different end of the spectrum. I look at this shoe and I'm like, man, why they gotta do the LeBron like that? Like this pair particular from the All-Star Weekend has like rose or kind of floral print on it, white, pink, green, very Eastery. Probably is the Easter release, just a couple months early. And that thing looks fucking awful to me. I would not wear that in LeBron. But what's so wild is I had this bigger conversation with myself. There was a LeBron Reserve drop on sneakers. I just happened to miss. I didn't purposely try to miss it, but I was not paying attention. And then the Big Bangs this past weekend. My taste has changed so much, and I still like revere the Big Bang for what it is, and LeBron's line for, you know, it being one of the longest running lines of all time. It's all great stuff, but like, I'd rather wear it Beyond Retro Chuck 70, and that's not for me to keep plugging that shoe, but like, I can put that on with any pair of pants on earth and it looks good. That LeBron 19, you got to be like methodical with an outfit, like the 19 low. Like, all right, I got to have the right gym shorts on with like the right cut socks. I feel like if there's even a little bit too much sock showing, it looks awkward. It has to be no show or too high. Like a pair of Chucks, fucking work, you know. That's why they've been around for so long. There's no thinking about it. But the LeBron stuff now, when I'm in 2022, I got to be more methodical with my purchases because this doesn't go with everything as I thought it would 10 years ago.
I would totally agree. I mean, I think that's why like I like the low. And yeah, the colorway you're talking about is definitely a little too much for me. I mean, I think it could potentially
for
look
Easter
good on some shoes, but like, yeah, it's not for me. But I think that's like also I think the exact same thing when I saw the Chosen One 19 with like the you know, like I mean, don't get me wrong, like I love the tear away, scrape away, like all the, you know, cool shit that they do with all these materials and the stories that they tell. But the shoe is just like, it's so gaudy that I just could never see myself wearing, you know, like maybe it's like you're wearing it with shorts, you know, just to go watch a basketball game or something. But like, that's like a very specific, like I'm, you know, like, okay, I'm going to go to Drew League. I mean, I'm not in LA anymore, but if I was going to go to Drew League, I might wear something like that. But like outside of that, I don't think I'm really wearing that kind of a shoe because it's just so over the top, which is why I felt like when I saw the 19 low, I didn't realize that's what it was at first. I was like, oh, maybe it's some sort of takedown Nike basketball shoe, you know, like mid-range type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think also like the colors when the shoe is already over the top and then the colors, I'm just not in a place where I'm looking for that. You know, to your point about the Big Bangs, it's like, I would love to have that shoe. Am I going to pay $240 for it? Not a chance. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Maybe if it was like 180, 200 and I just happen to come across it, I would pull the trigger. But like, I mean,
that's what sucks. Like, that shoe does speak to me. Paying $240 does not bother me. I entered to get a pair on sneakers hoping to win, but I'm not going to go seek it. Yeah. But like, that shoe means a ton to me. Like, I love it, but I just have so many shoes already that are like fucking talking pieces on a mantle. Like, I don't need another $240 talking piece that it sits in the closet. Oh yeah, check these out. They're fun. And it really does speak to how it makes you appreciate how well the old LeBron stuff has aged. Like when Jason Petrie is talking about the 2 coming back, not only is that just an exciting nostalgia boost, you know, serotonin going off in my brain, I can see myself wearing the white and navy or the black and any really colorway, especially the animal print one. So many great PEs and samples and GRs of the LeBron 2, you know, 15 years ago, 15 years later, it looks just as good as it did then. And like, it's very wearable. You don't have to calculate much with those. Or your shattered backboards, man. What's so funny is like, you could be pretty much a token black cement wearer because it's like, you don't have to think about it at all. It's just plug and play, you go. And I think we're getting further. Brands are kind of purposefully making those forks in the road, right? Because you want any hooper to have your performance basketball shoe, get that 240 out of them. They're going to go play in a very relevant LeBron 9 retro. That's a very playable basketball shoe nowadays. But then you also want them to go buy the 19 low Easter looking joints for off the court. So it's just like they're purposely pushing people into one way or the other. it's interesting. It's interesting because yeah.
I was gonna say, well, speaking of, did you see the images of that desert elephant Jordan 3?
Oh, gorgeous! I think it's gorgeous.
Really? I don't like it because like the elephant print doesn't stand out enough in the like last stuff that started showing up, and I also just feel like I think it looks good, but I would just wear the regular black cement 3s. Like I would never choose this one over that, I guess.
See, I would never choose it over it either. I wouldn't even choose these over like my mochas. Yeah. My mocha 3s. But where I think it succeeds for me is like the Animal Instinct 3s, both versions of them, way too busy for me. This kind of gives me a different vibe from the animal print, which I look for sometimes, but without every animal in the kingdom. This is just an elephant, just, a twist.
I can see that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the beauty and the crux of new Jordans, right? Because it's like you'd rather wear it as a black cement 3, and I'm pretty inclined to mixing it up with this desert elephant 3. It's a little twist. So I like twists. Sometimes you don't like twists. It's so subjective. It's tough.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that's definitely where all this stuff comes in, right? Like people, there's so many people buying this stuff now that, they could literally drop any Jordan retro. Like they could probably drop 1 through 15, maybe 1 through 14 every month. And like, people would just be like, okay, cool. This is a good one. Like, they do have an extra 6 or an extra 3 or an extra 7.
Bro, let me tell you a little story. This before we get into the main topic. It's a really short story. To that point, like, hey, why not? We could release it every month. I got the Red Thunders. I like them, but I just got them as I got them. I got those Black and Royal ones. I already have 2 other Black and Royal Jordan ones. Let's throw a third in there. Why not? And then the UNC 6s shock drop. I missed on those, but I already have the UNC 1 and the 4. I was like, fuck it, might as well go for the 6. So it's just like, you can drop 1 through 15 every week, and get some sucker like me to be like, oh, okay, well, why not? I'm gonna get rid of 2. They're not gonna stay with me. Like, I just don't need all those Jordans. But you'll at least get me to buy it once, and then I will then feed the system. But
yeah, it's definitely easier to convince me to not like something. Or wait. It's easier to convince me to just be like, oh, that's a good colorway because it's on a Jordan retro than to not, right? Like, I have to consciously be like, yeah, would I actually wear this? I mean, of course, I would wear every pair if it was just sitting here and I didn't have to think about it, right? But if I had to think about choosing one versus the other, that's the only way I could be like, yeah, this is just not going to work. Or
work is tougher. It's like, I already have Thunders. I already have Lightnings. Did I need the Red Thunder? No. But does the endorphin fire off in my brain? Like the 2 synapses gaps I have left up in here, they both fire off quick. Like, oh yeah, awesome. Anyway, speaking of things coming late, like my brain firing off.
Yeah. So let's come back to the PE stuff. Let's talk about the supply chain shit, because I think it's really just crazy that we're still. I have a weird example for this, but this comes from looking at Footwear News, and there's been a few stories on Footwear News in the last day or two talking about how the supply chain issues are still a problem. I can't remember what analyst, but there was analysts quoted as saying that there's a mistaken belief that supply chain issues have improved. They downgraded Nike and Foot Locker stock, which, that's all, if we're being completely honest, it's all a game. It's like, cool, we're going to say not buy now because we're going to sell on the back end next time around, or whatever it is. But I do think there's still legitimately problems with the supply chain. And to see another article on Footwear News, I'll link to these in the description, but another one is the Atlanta Footwear. I don't think maybe it's the convention, Atlanta Shoe Market. Basically saying that this supply chain issues are still problematic for everybody that was, there. It's kind of like an industry trade show type of thing. But I have a weird example, and I just thought of it because I just ate lunch. But I did some grocery shopping over the weekend. I bought like mustard. It's February 21st when we're recording this. I bought this on the 20th or the 19th or something, right? Get home. I'm like, oh shit, my old mustard is, expired. So I throw it out, grab the new one. Like, I mean, it was almost gone anyway, but like I was buying it to replace it. So when I looked at the date, like the other one had expired for a month or two. It's like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to toss this, put the new one in. And then I look at the date on the new one, which I just bought within the last 48 hours. And the expiration date on it is February 28th, 2022. Like there's no world that I'm familiar with in which condiments expire a week from the day you purchase them. And the only thing I could think of that would have caused that is it's just supply chain stuff, right? They're just shifting inventory around to cover, whoever needs mustard on the shelf. And it's probably still backed up from like the factories on the factory side to have that stuff, right? I mean, I don't know specifically how all of that stuff works, but I'm assuming that has to be something because, you buy ketchup or mustard or ranch or mayonnaise. Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's the condiment version of Twinkies, like you don't expect that shit to go bad for like, 2-3 years at least.
Mustard especially. It's mustard seed, vinegar, and fucking water. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And then seeing all this, I was like thinking, there's no way it could have been anything else but that. But
I saw a weird insight. I was watching Business Insider. Shout out the interview you did with that former Business Insider associate, reporter, contributor. Her name escapes me right now. That was a really good interview, though.
Yeah.
Choshi. I was watching a Business Insider, and they were talking about how the U.S. ports rank globally. And as you can probably assume, China has like all the best ports in the world. Like, they're ranked. The Port of Long Beach and the Port of L.A. are 300 and I want to say 329 and 335, and the global rank below like Sri Lanka and below like so many other places in the world. Our port system, like most things American, we think it's the best and we think we do everything great. That shit was top of the line probably 60 years ago. Yeah. And now, like most things in America, oh yeah, it was great 60 years ago. Let's not put any money into it ever again because that's socialism. So we just have stuff like that happening that we wonder why there's still a barricade, basically. Like it's a queue, but a queue of ships waiting to bring 2-year-old mustard into store shelves. And it's also interesting because like Sneaker News is describing another Jordan restock happening. We're going to have like Court Purple 13s. I believe that's about a year old now. Oreo 5s, at least 6-7 months old. Red Thunders, a couple weeks old. But it's not so much shock drops, I think, as much as things finally just getting loaded out of Long Beach and hitting a place where they can start selling them. It's just, I think a lot of the L's we've all been experiencing, I hate saying L, a lot of the shoes we have not been acquiring is not because of competition, but was just because we think, because we see in our day-to-day lives maybe more people outside or less masks being worn, things are just getting better, when it's definitely the fact that things aren't getting as better as we think they are that's causing all the L's and causing not all the L's, but just making it harder to get certain things. I think at the earliest, according to Donut Media, shout out Donut Media, they rock. Card chips are the earliest supposed to be allegedly fixed.
Could you say that again?
No, I can't. It's maybe third quarter 2022 they'll have more chips, and I'm sure you've seen photos of just like F-150 sitting there completely built without any chips in them. They can't do shit, and it's just like shoes and so many other furniture I've been ordering. Everything is just like, will it end? And
how to respond to that?
Yeah,
damn, Suri thinks she has all the answers, but she does not. It's just so crazy. Like we think it's people, we think it's all these things, and it's just like supply. It's a boat sitting in the ocean. Because
and on top of that, like it's like the manufacturing side, and then like just over the weekend I drove past a couple of car lots and I was like, whoa, there's like 10, 15 cars on a lot that would have normally had, 100. And another thing on footwear news that I was looking at is like, I think it's Hibbett Sports was basically saying, yeah, like we're not going to hit our numbers anywhere close to our numbers this year because of supply chain stuff. And they're like, well, like, what can we do? It's like, there's no end in sight for us. So, which is crazy too. Like, I mean, America is like just so crazy about leveling up and selling more and selling more and selling more. So like a lot of that stuff, in my opinion, is not as important as it's made to be. It's like if we made 300 million and we only made 310 million, if we made 300 million last year and we're only making 310 million this year, like, is that really that horrible? Like you're still
it's the end of the world to them.
Yeah. But like to them, it's the end of the world. Yeah. So
year over year, we're down. No.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, man. If every business that uses the port of Long Beach or Los Angeles gave $2 million, let's say the Fortune 500s that run product out of those, each you get $5 million right now just to upgrade. It's never going to happen. It's just like, it's the most infuriating thing about like not to go into U.S. politics, how things feel so broken. It's just like we see all these issues and we know it takes this to fix it, and it's like nobody's willing to put the two together. There's just too many blockades in the middle to keep the two from coming together. It's like, bro, you have so much profits, not just Nike, everybody. Just put money into the infrastructure, baby. That year over year doesn't have to go up. Stay flat for 1 year, and in 2 years you'll have enough room to move everything you need to move for double the growth. Who knows? Totally. I'm not an economist, but
it's got to be something like that though. And the funny thing too is like with the supply chain, it really depends on who you watch or read or like what news you look at, because you'll have like a report today from one news place that's like, the worst is over, we're finally getting through it. And then you're like looking at another news report and it's like, yeah, this shit's not going to end for another 6 months. Like it's so inconsistent with everything. Like I feel like everybody's just like doesn't know what's going on. I feel like everyone is basically in our position. They're just like, yeah, we're going to talk about it because it's obviously fucking shit up for everybody, but we don't really know what's going on.
It's like footwear leaks nowadays. It's like, oh, there's going to be a Jordan retro, maybe June.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows? But no, it's an incredibly frustrating thing because like, I don't think we need, I mean, we're just so pushed to be materialistic and have all the new things. I'm the victim of that too. But it's just like, when there's no end in sight and you're just like stuck inside amassing things. I bet you and other people listening, you're just bored and you find yourself buying stuff because you're just like kind of still in a stuck inside mindset. Yeah. And it's just, can't even get no Legos. Everything's sold out. Can't get nothing.
Yep. Totally. Speaking of stuff that's sold out and that we'll never get, let's talk about some of these PEs that we've seen for the last.
Well, we're never meant to get, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not meant for us simpletons.
We're just meant to wish.
Eminem starting off I guess 2 weekends ago now with the Super Bowl Fire Red 3s. It's been interesting. Let's do this. What are your thoughts on that shoe? And then we'll get mine. What do you think of the Eminem Fire Red?
I mean, I think it's dope. I just kind of expect like a good, simple, like, nothing crazy colorway from Eminem at this point. So, the backwards E, the hockey mask behind the tongue, Slim Shady records, or the Shady records on the inside of the tongue. I did think I mean, I always like the clear outsole, but I really like the like, hi, my name is like badge on the back. Cause it looks like it's actually like
our logo.
Well, yeah, it definitely looks like Sneaker History logo, but it looks like it was like cut out of it almost, as opposed to like raised up, which most of the heel tabs are. So I thought that was kind of cool, but like this doesn't make me, I don't necessarily want a pair of Fire Red 3s. Like it's one of those shoes like I would try for, but like I wouldn't be like crushed if I didn't get it. It's not a playoff 12 to me, but I think, the idea of this being a shoe that gets the average person, average consumer, like most sneakerheads get excited about the fire red 3s because of this one. It's cool. They did the right thing, you know.
They did their job. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't get when people are like, "Oh, it's not bold enough. It's not PE enough. It's not signature enough. It's Eminem shoe, dog." Like, that's not for you. It's not. I mean, a lot of
he
other
literally made an all black Carhartt 4.
Exactly right. That's just like that's his steez though. I mean, even go back the Air Max 93. He's had 94s, I believe, was the Slim Shady.
Oh yeah,
the
Air Max Burst. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just been so many. Like that's just his style though. Like his.
Yeah, totally.
Let's say this versus the DJ Khaled stuff.
Yep.
Personality, look, everything, and just personifies each individual. Because you have stuff like this, then you have like Drake's all gold 3s that have like 6 written on the tongue. Then you have Usher's also all gold 3s. You have Anthony Hamilton's all brown 3s. Chris Paul has a PE pair of 3s. Kobe's 3s. We the best. I mean, I think the 3 is just the ultimate shoe for this. Do what you want. It lends itself to whichever direction you want to go into. Do you want to stay OG with the flare? Do you want to go original with the flare? Do you want to go all the way crazy? The 3 is your shoe.
Yeah. The Super Bowl, the JTH Super Bowl 3 was a pretty good one. Pretty subtle, but like, you know, I feel like that's the thing. Like, you know, a lot of guys just don't, they're like us. Like they're not, we were just talking about how we're not wearing like crazy stuff maybe as much anymore. And like, if they have the opportunity to make their own shoe with Jordan, they're going to make something that they're going to wear, you know?
Yeah.
So.
The Drake versus Lil Wayne 3s, I still love that shoe over everything. It's just,
that was dope.
Do you want to be simple or do you want to not be simple? I mean, that leads us to not a Fat Joe sampler PE, but he was seen this past weekend during All-Star festivities wearing a Crater 3 that has like iridescent hits. It has some like, Crater not renewable, but reused material type vibes to it. I think it's the ultimate mix of like what Nike wants to portray themselves as like a conscious brand that, cares about the environment, and just like straight up steez. I think it's the great mix of both, right? You get flashes and you get some substance. So what do you think about those?
I mean, I think they look super dope. The iridescent and like it kind of looks 3M-ish, where it's like sort of like 5 Lab 3, 3 Lab 5. I can't remember which way those goes, but I like I like on all the Crater stuff. I like the like kind of speckled recycled look on the outsole. So I mean, if this was a shoe that actually released, I would probably be trying to get them. I don't know how much effort I would put into it, but looking at the pictures on Sneaker Bar Detroit, shout out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rocking some Ultra Boost in that photo with him. That's a good.
Kareem gotta stay. I mean, I love how not every athlete. I mean, Kareem's had other contracts too, at some sneaker contracts, but he's forever pretty much an Adidas player, and I like how like that keeps going on. Chuck, for example, Chuck doesn't like really being anything in terms of selling things, but you can still find Chuck in Air Force Ones. I always look to what's Chuck wearing. It's typically a dress shoe or like an Air Force One. Never his own stuff really, which I think is interesting. In a good way. God, man, I'm just thinking of all the college PEs, the 3s. It's like the 3 really, I think, is the ultimate PE shoe. Because then you have other things like, I think the 6 is another one that does really great collegiate stuff. But then you have like the Mac, feel how you will about Macklemore, but his like salmony and then his like green colored 6 PEs, I think, are 2 of the most gorgeously constructed shoes ever made. They just happen to be associated with a musician, but like, damn. What's your favorite Jordan model for PE? If you had the choice for Nick's Jordan PE silhouette, what would it be?
I mean, it's probably the 3. It's got to be the 3 or the 4. But the thing is, like, I don't like crazy colors on either of those shoes. Like, if I was gonna wear like the 14 with like wild color. Like the Aleli May 14 to me is just awesome. But it's like colors that are just not not your standard issue stuff, right? Even up into the newer stuff, like the 29, the 33, like some of those like shoes that had like crazy prints or just stuff that was like, like the Travis Scott 33, for instance. We talked about it on the last episode. Like that's just not a color you expect to see on a Jordan, on a regular release Jordan. And I think that's pretty cool to see on like a performance shoe. But like, it's tough. Like there's so many Jordan 1s. Honestly, like I don't think there is a better Jordan 1 for me than Shatter Backboards. So I wouldn't do anything differently. I mean, unless I'm feeling, purple and go with court purples, but like
that's already been done.
Yeah, it's already been done. So like, there's nothing I'm going to do that's, like, I don't want to be like, oh, cool, I embossed the Fragment logo on my, on my non-Fragment pair to make it look personal to me. Like, that's not that important to me. So I'd have to go 3 or 4 and probably, I like the removable patches on the tongue on the 4s. I think that's a cool touch to be able to mix it up a little bit. But that's about as crazy as I would get in terms of, a PE. What about you?
To your reasoning, I don't think I could do any better than the PEs that have already been created. But the 11, man, like the 11 from the Ray Allen championship stuff to all of the Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul has a Clippers, not the Clippers, but he has like a white, red, and blue Clipper 11 that's just filthy. He has a mint green one, filthy. Jabari Parker, when he played for the Bucks, had a cream pair. Never forget those joints. It's insane. God, the Mellow. There's so many. The 11 just with the patent leather, I think it lends itself to whatever you want to do. I would go a little weird though. I think I would do a 13. I would do a Jordan 13. That's a model I never really owned until the past couple of years, and now that I've had the 2 pairs that I own well enough broken in, I don't know why I ever slept on 13s, because I think you could do either no 3M. There's the way the cat's eye works and the pods on the bottom. There's just so many options to color block. So I would do a 13, but aesthetically, I love looking at the 11 PE. It's just beautiful shoes.
What do you think of the 11? I think it's like the this year's holiday one, right? It's like basically a cherry mid.
Yes,
supposedly loosely based off of Blake Griffin's PE, but that was more of a Sooners color. So I don't know if that connection is accurate or not. But
if you're familiar with your shades of red, the Sooner red is way deeper than the cherry red. And Blake Griffin, like again, that Sooner red, Blake Griffin's mid top PE, absolutely bananas. And it's from afar, kind of looks like a pair of Concords because the red's so deep.
Yep. But
when you get close, that's the power of like a great sample or a rare shoe. As you get closer to somebody, your eyes get bigger. Like, oh, those aren't what I thought they were. I don't like it though. Like for me personally, I haven't bought a pair of 11s in many moons because I already have every OG I've ever wanted. I don't need to go there. I've sold off just about every non-OG 11 I've ever owned now. The Cherry Low is still one of my top 10 favorite shoes ever. So I don't need a mid-top Cherry. I already have the perfect version, which I'm so excited to wear this summertime. One day a year, I pull out a nice pair of white shorts and some cherries, and I love it. But like, I'm not going to be excited for an 11 PE until they literally give me that mint Chris Paul or they give me the cream. Like, they're doing all these cool things. Like, you're getting the Mocha one, right? You're getting all these different shades on other shoes. I feel like the 11's always just stuck in that. Let's do an all black one, or let's do like a white, black, and red, or let's come on. Like, where are the creams? Where are like the weirder stuff? If you dropped a mint green 11 right now, I'm a buyer. Like, instantly.
That's definitely one of my favorite 11s, and I'm definitely not a Chris Paul fan, but to your point,
the Clipper one too.
The Clipper one is great. I mean, I always wanted that as a kid. I wanted like a royal blue 11 just because, you never saw blue on shoes from Jordan. I mean, I know they existed, but they were just definitely second. second-class citizens compared to all the Chicago colorways. So
I forgot about these because they kind of did it with the platinum tint. Chris Paul has another Clipper PE, or maybe it's a Rockets. It's pretty much a Columbia. It's a red Columbia, all white, where the Carolina blue would be. It's this red. It's like, fuck's sake. Like the 11 is when it's done correctly. It reminds you why you love shoes. It's like, oh, damn, it looks good.
definitely. Yeah, and to your point about like the other shoes, right, or the other, the other models that get all the
love,
all the various colorways, right? I think, there's like a white and red 6 that's basically like a red Oreo.
Yes,
right?
that's coming out soon,
year.
allegedly. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
it's a
based off the
good-looking shoe.
Kawhi.
But like all the other models get these like kind of oddball, colorways.
That's if this is off the top of my head, so if I remember incorrectly, correct me. Elements of that red Oreo is from the 2010 Oreo 6. On top of that, the Kawhi Championship Spurs joint with like a clear tongue, and on top of that, like a 2012 or something U.S. Soccer, like the goalkeeper or something was fucked around with Jordan Brand, and he had like a U.S. Soccer PE, I want to say it was like an American Cup or something. Air Jordan 6. I'm U.S. Soccer. PE,
there was also
that's what it's called.
It's also crazy too. Like Melo's all red PE turned into a release, right? Like, and I wish they would have released the blue. Did. His kid had a all blue pair when he wore that red one. His kid was wearing an all blue pair at some point around that same time. And
so the U.S. Soccer is a white and navy, so it's the exact same joints that are releasing now, but with navy instead of black or red in this instance. But no, the 6, think of all the college. I mean, since Jordan Brand's really made a push to be visible in college football, every program, the top 15 biggest collegiate programs that have a Nike affiliation have been getting dummy PEs. And we all see them when Soul Collector drops, this year's PEs from Jordan Brand for the colleges. But like, I know you have the Georgetown 3. There's been a Georgetown, like,
yeah.
Insert college here, and there's a elite college here, and there's a fantastic PE of it.
And I think it's super dope that they do that stuff. And honestly, like, I loved the Georgetown, like the Georgetown 3 that they released even, and like the navy, kind of navy and gray. But like anytime those schools get good colorways, like especially like this time of year, I'm always watching college basketball, not like stuck to the TV, but I have it on in the background most of the time. So I'm like trying to pay attention. And every time I see somebody wearing something, we're like, damn, that's dope. Like I love seeing that kind of stuff still.
Shout out to Hobie Jeremy who collects Oregon, like mostly Oregon Kevin Durant stuff. And to your point, you see these like old Oregon candy green KDs, and it's like, oh my God, those are gorgeous. And like, oh, good shoes. And I think that's important, especially with like, as college now becomes lucrative for kids. There's always been competition between who gets what recruit, but like, maybe we're just sneakerheads, but I'm for sure looking at the shoe catalog. If I'm signing anywhere as elite recruit, it's like, all right, where can I get my NIL deals? Yada, 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 but also where the Jordans at. So it's tough.
Yeah,
and I wonder, like,
I mean, that's something. Go ahead.
No, like, how does Adidas, and no shame to Adidas or Under Armour, I just don't get how they can compete with like Nike. You have to really love that program to like say, no, thank you. No, thank you, Oklahoma Sooner gorgeous PE. I'm gonna go take a Texas A&M Adidas PE. It's like, oh, and I get it's Texas A&M and that's a big school, yada yada, but it's like ultimately still probably an Ultra Boost, just in like crimson or whatever Texas A&M red is. You can't compete with the Jays. Like, damn.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be interesting how all of that, name, image, likeness stuff for college athletes plays out, because obviously the brands all know it's big money. I mean, Nike and Tinker. So I was reading up on that like NFT thing with the Ducks Air Max 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the company that is doing the deals and marketing for these like name, image, likeness deals with the college athletes, the marketing agency was founded by Tinker, Phil Knight, and somebody else. So it's like they clearly see that there's so much value in this that they're starting a company outside of Nike to start helping manage and obviously direct, Oregon athletes to Nike and connect those dots and all that. But like, that's, most of these athletes are not going to have, like they could just be taken advantage of. So like there's some, like comfort level of having, somebody at Nike or wherever already kind of like being the middleman in terms of like negotiating those deals. But the way they're doing it with the NFT is really interesting because now the residuals, anytime somebody sells those NFTs, will go back to the student athlete organization. So, I mean, it's definitely a great way for them to do that. But I would imagine it's going to get really, really crazy with all the PEs and all the, like, I mean, just, God, you just imagine all the players that we think of now for the last 30 or 40 years and their college likeness. And now every one of them can potentially make some money off of that moving forward somehow if they do it right, It's wild.
What's even wilder is that like StockX really had the gall to be like, I'm gonna make an NFT off somebody else's shoe. It's just like, of course Nike's gonna go that route. And Tinker especially, right? He designed the one. He should be the person to. The NFT stuff is beyond me. I'd rather take that Oregon Jordan 8 PE that released this year on StockX than an NFT. Than an NFT version of a shoe.
Yeah, I think that 8 was actually one of the better.
Right.
That's one of the better 8 PEs, to be honest.
It's one of the better looking. I mean, call me crazy, but like one of the better looking Jordans I've seen in this like. Maybe I'm just getting weird. I don't know, but that 8 really spoke to me in a way that not a lot of shoes have recently.
What is your favorite? This will be our wrap up question. What is your favorite Oregon Ducks PE?
Fuck. It literally goes back and like I could not tell you. It's either the Candy Red 5 or the the silverback black Jordan 4s or the candy green. I love that the suede candy green. I think is just the most unique, swaggy looking college. So it's like I'm gonna say the candy green 3 or the candy green 5. Can't decide. Yeah. Either one. What about yourself?
I think it's probably the candy green 3. I like the interchangeable swooshes on that shoe. It's just a cool detail. Yeah. I'd just say the one that like sticks in my head that I wouldn't expect like myself or anybody else to think of is the 29. The 29 Oregon PE was pretty dope. Silver, yellow Jumpman, yellow outsole.
Big old duck on the side. It's a big fat duck.
Yep.
That was a good one. Oh, there's so many. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many of them too. Like once you start looking at them, you're just like, oh, damn.
See, it's like, okay, the OG Pit Crew Black Cement 3 ceremoniously has to be included in that, but it's just like, it's so much like a Black Cement. And I get that's part of what makes it so cool. I think that's part of what made. Okay, if it wasn't, here's a real deep dive. If the Oregon Pit Crew 3 doesn't get into people's feet and like, illegally for the most part, like if samples weren't ordered for that shoe to be widely dispersed, there would never be Frag 1. Like there would never be anything of all these like super high-end collabs or super high-end releases that's ultimately just a fucking classic Jordan with a twist. Like if it wasn't for that, the Pit Crew showed it's okay. It's way cooler. And yeah, it just shows that it was okay and it was way cooler.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Actually, that makes me think like you're a Jordan 5 guy. The black and yellow 5 that has like the different color heel piece. You know what I'm talking about? It's like black, and then the heel is actually yellow. How do you feel about that?
Are we talking? It's a duck shoe.
Yeah, it's
I know
Oregon
exactly what
shoe.
you're talking about. Yeah, and it has it has the duck man on the back.
Man. Yeah,
the duck man. Oh, absolutely fire. And I think those are absolutely fire because for the same reason, like the Drake and Lil Wayne's are so fire to me. It's ultimately like a black shoe with some pops, and they've done this with like, you know, the Brazil Jordan 6 and an electric green Jordan 6, and it's all, man. That shoe that you bring up just proves that there's levels to it, right? You can walk into a room with somebody wearing like the 6, which my God, and it's a great, gorgeous shoe. Or you walk into a room with somebody wearing that, and it's just like, okay, like there's levels to this hobby.
Totally. I mean, I was just thinking about, like, as you were saying that, I'm thinking like you could literally walk into like the Oregon locker room and be like, oh, this guy's been around, you know, like he was here for the good stuff, and then you could see all the other stuff and still be. Like, most people don't even know it exists, but like, yeah, totally.
You walk around
Totally
this guy fucks.
Exactly.
I mean, and I'm happy you brought this Oregon Duck stuff. I think that really is. It's like, it's the secret cellar wine of shoes. It's like there's the main cellar. You go to the vineyard and like, oh, here's all the nice reserves. Maybe a couple $1,000s for a bottle. You think you're a beast buying these bottles. I'm like, oh, real people in the know there's like an elevator deep below the surface that goes into the private collection.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Oh man. All right. Well, let us know what your favorite Oregon Ducks PE is. Let us know what your favorite PE is. If you have a different team that you're a fan of, there's a lot of good ones out there. I wish the Sneaker History, whoever runs the Sneaker History site would get better about putting all this shit together so people could go look at all the PEs in one place. You know, that would be awesome.
Man,
but, it's, maybe someday.
we can do Spider-Man and point fingers at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so just let me shout this out, because I got to shout them out at least once. So Index Portland, they typically have, any PE you could be possibly looking for. They've had the Candy Green 5 in there used for $4,000 for like a couple years now. Not everybody's looking to spend $4,000 on a used shoe, but like, if you're ever looking and you have $4,000 and you're not sure about where to make those rare purchases from, go to Index. Very trusted group of people taking in those shoes. But they're out there. There's definitely that rare stuff out there. So maybe not spend.
Yeah, they've got some great stuff.
It's what's so crazy. They want like 20, not Index, but the world wants like $2,500 for a Travis Scott 1, when you could just go buy like a Mike Bibby PE for $3,000 that nobody else has.
Yep.
Right. It's times unchanged.
Totally. Yep. Definitely. All right. Well,
man. So can you imagine telling somebody in a fucking time machine in like 2008, you have a Tribe Called Quest strapped Air Jordan 1, and they also have all the pit crew stuff in the back, and you tell that person in 2008 that another Jordan 1 by a rap group or rapper is going to be worth as much as like your super rare PE back there, it's just going to blow somebody's mind. It would blow 2008 collector's mind.
Yeah,
what?
Totally. Yep.
Weird thought, but we'll stop the episode now. I'll stop. Yeah, I'll stop.
No, that's totally true though. Totally true. Like, yeah, I wonder what that's going to be like 10, 15 years from now, where we're like, what the fuck? Like, how did we get to this point now?
Yeah.
But
a black cement for $1,000 is what?
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho.
All right. Well, thanks for rocking with us for another episode. Make sure you're following at Sneaker History. If you are not in the Discord, you're missing out. There's some incredible people in there, and it's growing pretty nicely. There's more and more people contributing. We're doing giveaways. We're doing community calls. We're actually raising some funds for community members on some projects. So definitely check it out. And if you haven't, let me see. And if you want to do more than that, you can always support us by joining our Patreon. But otherwise, yeah, like make sure you connect with Robbie. Robbie, let them know how they can find you.
I want to hit you with the and then so bad. So I just did it now. You can find me at RAHBEE702. How
You can
about
find
you?
me at Nick Engvall on all the platforms, NickEngvall, but more importantly, just at Sneaker History everywhere. We're going to start doing Twitch Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time, so also find us on Twitch too, apparently now. So catch you next time. Peace.
Goodbye.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify or Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more content coming for you in 2022. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in the Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is the connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions we have in common with other people within the community. We recently launched the first of a handful of new podcasts that will be coming directly from our Sneaker History community. We'll get into the details for those in a future episode, but I'm excited to share that the Exhaust Notes podcast is now live. Now, this is a show about the world of cars, racing, and other automotive-related topics. If you're a fan of Formula One, Formula Drift, cars and coffee, or you're just a weirdo like me that enjoys the smell of gasoline, I think you'll enjoy this one. If you do, add Exhaust Notes to your subscribe list so you'll be updated when we drop future episodes. As always, thank you for supporting Sneaker History, and don't forget to tell someone you like their kicks today. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.